Hello everybody, and welcome to a small video on PokeMMO. My name is Mythic, formerly known as Grim, and for those of you that don't know, I suffer from quite a severe visual impairment called retinitis pigmentosa. To make a long story short, I don't have great eyesight, and it will continue to get worse over time, and I know there are other players in this game that have visual issues, hearing issues, and maybe no use of certain limbs or paralysis, things that are wrong with their bodies in real life that might make playing a video game slightly more difficult. So, from someone that suffers from one of those myself, I thought it would be right to sit down and make a video. I have made a list of things that I think would be fantastic changes for the game for accessibility, and I'm going to run through them real fast. So, the first one on my list, I've tried to memorize this list as best I can so I don't have to struggle to read as the video goes on, but would be overall effects such as fog, sandstorms, and stuff like that. So my first example would be why I'm in Lavender Town right now. Let me pop up the Lavender Tower and show you what I'm talking about. So, up in Lavender Tower, when I walk up these stairs, I'm going to be able to see almost nothing at all. So here we go. Oh, my bad. So with this fog effect upstairs, I can see almost nothing on my screen. Now, I've had several friends come by in these areas with me and help me map them out square by square and help me take them out in a notepad so that I don't have to have somebody watch my screen share every time or come physically in game and walk me square by square through these areas. But if the ability to turn off these overall effects would be an option in the game, that would make a lot of people with visual impairments lives much easier. Another example of this would be Flannery's gym, so let me pop over there real fast and show you. And here we are outside of Flannery's gym. So when I step inside, we have a very similar overall fog that we had inside Lavender Tower. Now, for most players, this is a very pretty aesthetic to the game. Like inside Flannery's gym, the fog insinuates that we're in a hot area. It's almost like a sauna. Lavender Tower is supposed to be kind of a spooky fog that's it's meant to make the area more aesthetically pleasing. Mount Mortar, I believe it's Mount Mortar. I think I'm butchering that name every time, but where the Heatran raid is in Sinnoh and Route 228 below it, one is covered in a sandstorm and one is covered in a volcanic fog. Again, for the game aesthetic, absolutely beautiful and very pleasing. But for those of us with visual disabilities, an absolute nightmare to navigate at the best of times. The next thing on my small list would be the day-night cycle. So, as you can see, it's fairly middle of the day right now. We still have bright weather outside in game, but when it turns nighttime, the game does darken as it gets into the evening and nighttime and early morning. The game's overworld is very dark. But if we had the ability to disable the visual effects of the day-night cycle, it would make those with low light vision and bad nighttime vision, such as myself as well, much more accessible to being able to play the game during all hours of the in-game clock. Now, I've come over to Unova for this third and fourth part of the list, which would be for those of us, or for those of us and those other players that have hearing impairments. So for the phenos specifically, I know a lot of people don't see the phenos before they hear them. They usually hear the rustling of grass, the bubbling of water, or the falling of a feather from the sky, or the flapping of a bird, I believe it is. Or it's the feather on the ground, but the flapping of a bird's on. If we had a small notification bar which showed local notifications, I was hoping it would be a brightly colored one, but any notification tab that is not the system messages to be able to show overworld audio effects, like the rustling of grass, the flapping of wings, or the bubbling of water, for our hearing impaired players to be able to know when something auditory is going on in the game that they might not see at first sight. And on top of that, just a general notification window where you could set notifications for things in the game that you might not always be paying attention to, like legendary or not legendaries, the world legendaries like Rayquaza, Mewtwo, Keldeo, all these being able to pop up on your screen if you had a notifications tab that wasn't system messages where you could actively ping or have an alert for when one of these things goes off, that would be fantastic. Or to see when you've gotten a whisper that you didn't hear the ping of, to have it in your notifications tab pop up, that would be another great thing. Yeah, next on the list would be for swarms. Now, very conveniently, while I was doing this, there happened to be a Yanma swarm pop up in Pinwheel Forest where I'm standing right now. Now, this area is already kind of dark and difficult for me to navigate, which would bring me perfectly to my point of swarms being very difficult to see in the overworld for some people like myself. Now, you can turn the player render distance down to 0 and not see any other players. For the most part, you'll see shadows of them. And even then, it can still be very difficult to see swarm Pokemon running around in the grass. Even in bright light conditions, doesn't really matter the lighting conditions. Sometimes they can just be difficult to tell where they are. which leaves someone like myself running around aimlessly in circles, smashing the A key, trying to find the swarm Pokemon, which I've lost more swarm Pokemon than I can count due to not being able to click on them fast enough or catch them fast enough. Due to the slowness of being able to click on them and find them in general. So a small update for this, or a small suggestion for a change, would be a glow, a colorable glow, or maybe an arrow pointing above the swarm Pokemon, or if you're within a certain tile radius. In the community tab down here, we have, sorry now it is going to take me a second because I am permanently losing my mouse cursor due to my bad eyesight. Down here in the community tab, we have the nearby players feature. For swarms, if a feature popped up for nearby swarm Pokemon, if it was in, let's say, 10 tiles of you, and just be able to encounter it from here instead of having to manually go up and click on it, that would be massive for those of us with visual impairments who struggle to find our swarm Pokemon. Now I've just decided to step back outside into the daylight where I can see a little bit better and have my little golden goose next to me flapping her wings happily. The next thing on the list would be, sorry, I've tried to memorize most of this list, but I've recorded this video twice now and messed up on my wording. So yes, the follower option. Most other MMOs have the ability to right click on another player and you will automatically follow them. Now, for PokeMMO I understand we have hidden machines, or the overall mechanics like strength boulders, surfing, cutting trees, other things like that that obstruct the overall terrain, and the ability to follow another player might cause you to be stuck in an area if you were to be technically no clipping there. So a small suggestion for this would be we do always have the /unstuck command. And I understand this might be a difficult one to implement just due to players getting stuck in areas they're not supposed to be, and maybe have the follow option locked to completing that region might be the best option to it, so that you can't be stuck in a place that you can't get out of yourself. But as an option for the game, I think it would be fantastic to be able to right click on another player and automatically follow them from the base place, which would also lead to some very amusing content and some very interesting conga lines going through our capital cities. And last but not least, most of you have heard about the foot pedal incident recently, and I'm not going to touch on it too much right now, apart from the small issue that came up was there is a third-party software that is verified by the developer's page on the forums, and I believe you can access it through the FAQ as well. That was the team thing. I believe it's through the FAQ. You can also access this page. Now, I don't believe the third-party software that has been verified by the devs page has been updated in the longest time, and this whole foot pedal incident could have been very easily put to rest if we just had a updated version of the acceptable third-party software list. Now, for this third-party software list, I'm talking about things like screen readers, eye trackers, and other applications that would allow people with paralysis or maybe not used to their limbs to be able to remap their keyboard and or their mouse to another physical device that is easier for them to use. Now, these applications and other devices would have to be verified by developers. There's a individual standing on my bird, and I'm not happy about that. It would be nice for... Oh, I've completely lost my train of thought. Yes. It would be nice for the developers to have a list of more updated third-party software for accessibility to be able to be put on that list and verified by them, so that people like myself don't feel terrified of using something like a screen reader or anything like that in case it triggers something in the game and you get a ban warning or there's a mark on your account. Now, I don't have an extensive list of all these softwares and programs, but if this is a thing that the developers would like to go forward with and they would like some help on it, I'll happily sit here and I'll do the research and find out what accessibility programs are needed by the community of those with disabilities that would love ease of access to the game, and I'll happily compile a list and send it to them and they could verify it from there. But for now, I just wanted to make this small video of accessibility tools and options to upgrade the game for ease of access with players with disabilities, and hopefully this reaches the devs' ears. Maybe something gets done about this someday, maybe not. But as somebody that is a impaired player myself, I'd love to see these changes come to light, at least some of them, or at least be considered seriously by the development team. For now, that would be all. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out.